Hi everyone. I thought I'd do something a little different this week. I thought I'd start off by trying to give you an overview of the boat. One of the comments last week made me realise that it's rather difficult to get an overview of this boat and see the thing, really picture her. And one of the reasons for that is that we're building her in this rather small shed. The shed was on the site here. I just sort of made it a bit longer, but you know, we're a bit restricted in width, and in length we're very restricted. The boat just about fits in here. Anyhow, it's Tapatya. She's a Jay Benford designed, as an American designer, Jay Benford designed sailing dory. In the family of these designs, there are a whole range of sizes. I think I'm right in saying there's a 26 footer, 28 footer, 30, 31.8, 32 foot, 34, 36 and 37.5 foot. I think that's the family of Jay Benford sailing dories. This is the 31.8, as I said. They're an interesting boat. They're hard chined, built in plywood. Hard chined means we got in cross section, straight sides and a flat bottom. But fore and aft we've got a bit of rocker, so the bottom curves a bit, not a vast amount, but a bit. The sheer curves quite a lot, which means the fore and aft deck are quite an angle, which is quite attractive, I find. This is the raised deck version. The cabin is full width, comes out to the sides of the hull, so no side decks. But there is also a more traditional cabin version with side decks. For me, the raised deck version had the advantage of having more room inside with that full width cabin, and I guess also more buoyancy. You're trapping more air inside, aren't you? Yeah, I say in cross section the bottom's flat, but it does rocker a bit fore and aft. But what you don't see at the moment is the keel that's coming on it. If you just turn around, Hazel, and scan along the bottom, the reason for this is that it's possible to build these boats in the shed, low down. Good, come back to me, I think. Low down, and then when the boat's pretty much complete, you pull them out, you raise them up and put the keel on afterwards. There are various keel options. I'm going for the long keel. So the keel will begin down here, Hazel, you see it past that ladder? Yeah. We begin at the bottom of the stem, run down at an angle, and follow all the way back to where the sail drive leg comes through. It will progress beyond, underneath the sail drive, and the rudder pintle, the bottom rudder pintle, will be fixed to that bottom of that keel. So it's a full long keel there, which gives us a fairly shallow draft. It's nice for exploring nooks and crannies. For me, that long keel has the extra advantage of having a structural member the full length of the boat underneath. Built in plywood, sheathed in epoxy and glass. Good. If you just step up past that ladder there, Hazel. Very nice. Let's start at the bow. We've got the bow fitting here, which is fairly tight in the shed, as you can probably tell. The anchor roller is going to come on here. Stainless steel bow fitting coming down the stem. And then we'll go up onto the forward deck. So if you have a scan over this, Hazel. Thank you, very nice. Nice and slowly. This is the forward deck. You see the bowsprit at the very front there with that anchor roller fitting on it. Bolted through, glued and bolted in position. I'm stood here in what will be a forward hatch. There's a big hatch structure that will be built here, which gives you extra headroom in the forepeak. I'm stood in the forepeak in what will be that hatch. So it gives you a nice bit of headroom in the forepeak. This hole here is where the forward mast is coming through. So the forward mast comes in at the foot end of the fore cabin, which is the way it is. Looking pretty solid. We've got these nice, strong, tall bulwarks running either side, which are one of the features of Benford Dories. Scuppers in the corners, obviously, because the water will run off that way. And we're looking at the end of the coach roof here. We've got the two forward-looking fixed ports there. And then if you come up and scan over the raised deck, you'll see this large area of flat deck. That's the main deck. And if I just climb up there, Hazel, can you see okay from there?
Yeah.
Jolly good. Climb up there. The main mast will come through about here. So there'll be another mast coming in there, which I haven't cut the hole for yet, but we'll be doing soon. This raised deck, main deck, is still waiting to be glassed. It's just sealed with epoxy at the moment. Will be glassed soon. Good, where I'm sat here, this is going to be the sliding hatch, the main companionway entranceway. So what you need to understand, I think, is that there are two runners on these decks, either side of this hatch opening, that go the full length of this raised deck. So two runners come up there, either side of the mast, all the way up to the end. And these wooden runners is what the sliding hatch is going to slide on. So quite a nice hatch there, and that would give us, in that area, a bit more headroom in this vicinity. And between these two runners that come forwards up here, there's another opening hatch coming in here, which again means we'll have a bit more headroom inside in that area. So that's very nice. Obviously various deck fittings to come, rails and whatever to come on there. But that's pretty much how that is. We'll go back to the aft deck now and have a quick look, Hose. Well, we're sat on the aft deck now. I'm sat in the cockpit, which is very nice. It's a very small cockpit, which the thinking there is that it won't hold much water. Aft deck again is protected by these raised bulwarks all the way around, which is very nice. It will be tiller steered, so the tiller will be protruding up to here. Aft hung rudder, so the rudder's hung on the back end of the boat, which is nice, gives you access to that. No difficult things to deal with posts coming through the boat and seals and whatever. Very simple. Now, something I've done here, you buy the plans and the permission to build the boat, obviously, which is what you're paying your money for, really. But then if you look at the way every builder of these boats who's bothered to publish the way they've done it, go about it, they all do it slightly different. So it's differently. So you're open, you have room for interpretation of how you're going to build these boats, which is nice. And something I decided to do was I wanted to try and fit a quarter berth in this area. So if you just lean forwards there, Hazel, and film down in there, you'll see a quarter berth with some clutter on it. Good, quarter berth in there. And I'm going to build, as part of that quarter berth, there'll be a raised section on this aft deck here that protrudes or carries on back to here with a deck box in behind it, coming up there, something like that, which will be there at a pleasant angle for when you're relaxing. You can sit back and lean against it, not to steer because that's too far away, but it'll be for relaxing times. You've got somewhere to sit, bit of backrest. That is not in the plans, that quarter berth. That is my idea entirely, and just gives us one more berth in the boat that is out of the main living area, and can double up as storage when it's not being slept upon. The other side, obviously, we'll have a symmetrical thing, but it would be purely deck box there. It's a storage box, and I'm hoping in that end that Hazel's showing you now, in the forward end of that deck box, I'm going to put a day tank for diesel. So we've got a gravity diesel feed to my diesel stove that's coming in the galley area. We'll see that in a while. If I move some of this clutter here, you'll see we have an aft lazarette. Well, lazarette's always aft. Have some aft storage. If you just poke down in there, Hazel, with the camera.
You can see my shoes.
It doesn't matter. You see the storage there. For me, this is too deep. I'm going to put a false floor in there, which will have the additional benefit of being a structural member horizontally in the hull there. So then, with a lift out flap or lift out section, so you can put more permanently stored items underneath it, and then have easier access items on top of it. That's coming in there. So cockpit's in here, engine controls and whatever will be coming somewhere, possibly in that deck box. I'm hoping and planning that after these deck boxes there'll be a stainless structure, stainless posts going up with a cross section with a cross piece there, and a bimini, a hard bimini coming up, covering the sliding hatch and coming back to about here, with solar panels on the top. That's where my solar should fit, and that will make this cockpit area quite protected. But just a flat roof. I don't think I'll put a screen in. I think I'll leave it open to see through. Just a flat roof with solar on the top of that. The main sheet comes back to about here somewhere. There'll be a stainless fitting across there, somewhere where that canoe is. With the main sheet, obviously can run him back this way to operate it from here through some blocks. I'm planning to put a piece of wood across the aft deck here, I don't know, so high, so that any rain that comes on the aft deck won't run beyond there. It will go out through a couple of scuppers there. Obviously the aft deck needs some drains, the cockpit needs drains. Those are in planning, will be coming. That's pretty much what the aft deck looks like. Let's go inside and have a look, shall we? Good, we're inside. As I say, with these runners coming up on the main deck, the headroom will be higher here. This piece of beam will be cut out when those runners are in place. At the moment it's just supporting that deck there. But that will be cut out, so we'll have significant headroom here. And I'm wearing shoes at the moment as well, which I would never do in a boat. In the companionway, I've gone for a traditional hatch with washboards. Be two half drop-in boards in here. Obviously needs a bit of framing up around here, but traditional drop-in washboards with the sliding hatch. It will slide back to here or so. I like it. At the moment I've got a set of teak stairs stood there, which I hope will stay there and be used. The quarter berth is on my left here on the starboard side. On my right on the port side will be a galley coming in here. So that's still waiting to be built, haven't even started on that. I have just picked up a nice piece of Formica for that. It arrived yesterday. We're here in Germany, we're in northern Germany, and I've looked, for years I've been looking for a Formica in Germany, and I've failed to find any on sale, which is quite incredible, because I'm used to it being fairly readily available. So in the end, I bought a sheet of Formica via eBay from somebody in Scotland who was selling it, and I had some trepidation as to whether it would arrive here in any decent condition, but I have to say the seller did a brilliant job of packaging it. I'll show you that arriving and show you the way it's come now. This is my Formica, so I need to. Can we see in there? It's a roll of Formica. and it should be blue. So yeah, that's great. So I've got the Formica that will be on the galley tops and enough for the heads worktops in there, which are quite small. So that'll be that. So plywood worktops with Formica. Galley, I imagine at the moment, sink at the aft end here. Stove coming in here. I've got a Dickinson diesel stove. Comes in there, chimney out there somewhere. And a bit of worktop here. Fairly simple galley. I'm not going to have a fridge. Storage cupboards underneath and racks as and where I can fit them for everything. As I said, the diesel stove will have a gravity feed from a day tank that's in that deck box, which is the other side of here. So just gravity feed through to the stove. Yeah, looking fairly good, I think. Over on the starboard side here, if you can see there, is the heads area. Again, completely untouched at the moment. You may have seen the video I did with the composting toilet. So I'm planning to put a composting toilet in here. The whole area is fairly small, but it's a 32-foot boat, so we'll manage. But there'll be a small worktop in there with a small hand sink, foot pump for water, toilet, and I still think, I've been swinging on this, I've been to and froing on this one, and I still think I can get a shower in here. I imagine a couple of boards that will fold down and cover up the toilet, so you can sit down there, have a simple shower, drain under the floorboards into a tank that is emptied by hand probably. I know the electric pump sumps exist, but I think I'll just have a hand emptying one. That's where we are there. Now we've nearly done full circuit. We're up in the saloon area. Settees around, bookshelves. I'm in the process of cleaning up the wood, getting a bit of paint on the white panels. This is all undercoat at the moment, but you know, it's coming on. All of this woodwork will be varnished, of course. All of these will be cleaned and varnished and white on the ply panels. So looking quite good. Will be fiddles along the bookshelves, fiddles around the nav table, fiddles around here in varnish wood. So it's that wood trim, varnish wood trim, white panels or off-white panels. And clearly the cushions that go on there will be some kind of colour, so give it a bit of character. If you step through, I think you've seen the speakers already. Got a couple of hardwood speaker boxes from some offcuts I had. They're in and functioning. Nav table the other side, on the starboard side, Hayes. There. And then, so I've got this old ship's clock, which is be coming up here somewhere. I've got a barometer as well, will be going up there somewhere. Coming in, shelf up here. And then we're into the forepeak, which is in its bare state and also awaiting paint and varnish. A couple of shelves either side for clothes and whatever. It's just about there. Good. And then if we turn around and go back aft one last time, just keep running. I shift this ladder. And you saw last week fitting the engine's in position. The diesel tank will go at the very back behind the engine. Fairly small diesel tank, I think. The engine itself only burns 1 litre an hour, so it doesn't need to be enormous tankage. We'll have that tank at the back of there, this day tank and jerry cans for diesel storage. Means we've got plenty of room in the engine room, plenty of access, looking quite good. Obviously that's got to be connected up, wiring, cables, water, the whole story. Still a lot to do. And I think that's just about our tour of the boat, isn't it? Have we shown you everything? I hope so. I hope that helps to give you some sort of picture of the boat. And clearly, until we drag her out of the shed and you can see her in her entirety, it'll be tricky. And then she's going to change her shape or appearance of shape quite a lot when we lift her up and get that keel underneath. That really does change the way these boats look. At the moment you see that sort of flat bottom and it all looks a bit boxy, but when you see that long keel underneath them, it really, she starts to come alive. Yeah, so where do we go from here? I guess you must be able to guess, really. What I'm trying to do at the moment is to get the decks glassed in, get the aft deck boxes complete, so I can get the aft deck glassed, the raised deck glassed, and then get those two runners that I was speaking about in position. Work on the hatches, the opening deck hatch there and the sliding hatch here. Another important thing I should be doing soon is making up a couple of dummy masts, dummy short masts. Cut a hole in the partners directly above Hazel's head here, and getting the mast steps, the two mast steps in position. Put a couple of dummy short masts in just to get the feel of what it's like with those masts in position. And then when we've got all that done, then it'll be getting the heads installed, getting the galley installed. When we're there, when that's done, it's a case of painting, varnishing, cleaning up, getting the engine hooked up. So it's a hell of a lot to do. It's interesting work, a lot to think about. But I want to get her as finished as possible in the shed before we pull her out, and then lift her up on some blocks and start working on the keel, the rudder, this bimini, this hard bimini, the solar panels that I was talking about, the guardrails around the outside of the decks, all those sort of things got to come on. And then I guess the last thing will be to make the two masts. I should be making the masts in Douglas fir, gluing them up and shaping them. And then we'll be just about done. How long that will take is anybody's guess. You just keep going and it gets done one day, doesn't it? But I hope to get as much of this fitting out inside and the deck work I was talking about, as much as that done this year. Maybe this time next year, springtime next year, pulling her out. Those are hopes and dreams. There's no fixed schedule. Sometimes you forget how much needs to be done. So maybe next summer, pulling her out, working on the keel, rudder, whatever. And then obviously it wouldn't make any sense to splash her in the winter, so the following year maybe splash time. That's where we are. I hope that's a useful guide to you, or a useful overview, or gives you an overview of the project here and where we are. Well guys, thanks for watching. That's it for this week. I hope it's helped you picture the boat. If you're not a Benford Dory aficionado, you've got a better idea of how they work. As I said last week, we really appreciate your thumbs ups, your comments. It's lovely. See you next time. We'll get back to some boat building next time. Till then, bye.
Riches in the sunset, standing out to sea. Tell me where you're going so decisively. What's your destination? Tell me where you're bound. We can move together where adventures abound. Running free before the breeze. Are there many days such as these? Riches and sunset, uncharted waters bound.